Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to the idea that is in-depth editorial analysis. So guys, in this particular session, we are going to take up the best of the editorials that have been published in the different newspapers, and we are going to see these editorials from the UPSC perspectives. In these editorial discussion classes, we chiefly be focusing on number one, content enrichment. Secondly, we'll be focusing on as how to link these current affairs topics with the static dimensions of GS paper number 1, 2, 3 as well as 4. Moreover, we are not just going to see the contemporary affairs. Moreover, we are also going to take detailed backgrounders which are often very much essential, but because we don't know these backgrounds, we are not able to make the sense of the articles. Then the structured explanations will be given throughout the sessions in the in the PPT format. Then the art of exam presentation and multidimensionality will be the most important focus of these classes. So in the today's session, we are going to cover the three newspapers, and in total 4 editorials we have covered, which I found relevant across the papers. Understand this particular thing, that we are only going to pick only those editorials which are specifically important for exam. The first editorial is criminalizing consensual relationships. Now this editorial is picked from Hindu newspaper and will be important for GS paper number 2, children related issues. Second one is contextualizing Ambedkar's idea of a moral democracy. Now this article is also published in Hindu, particularly the text and the context section, and the article is very well written and will be important for GS paper number 1, essay ethics. Particularly the idea is talking about Dr. Ambedkar's idea on democracy, moral democracy, etc. Trends in organ donation. So for GS2, GS4, the topic is going to be very important. This article is taken from the Indian Express. And then boosting trade, the key to stronger India-US ties. Now this particular article is taken from Hindustan Times and will be important for GS paper number 2. Now guys, before starting up, please do like the session. And please do guys share the session, fine, so that it can also give benefit to your friends and other fellow aspirants. Okay, starting up. And before starting up guys, let's take, if there are certain comments in this particular direction. Good evening Priyanka, Guru, Yash, Pooja, MD, Kumar, Harsh, Jimmy, Shubdeep and Venki. A very good evening to all of you. Okay, and this particular PDF also I will be sharing on the group. You can access the PDF of this particular session as well. Now, taking up the first article. So the first article is from the Hindu newspaper. Just a minute. Yes. So the first article is from the Hindu newspaper, criminalizing the consensual relationships. Now, basically guys, what this article is all about and why this article has come in the newspaper, for that we need to understand little bit of a background. First of all, we need to understand about the POCSO Act. Okay, so POCSO 2012. POCSO stands for Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012. When we talk about the children, they are specifically more vulnerable to sexual assault, physical assault. So therefore, the special needs for children's safety were needed. But before the POCSO Act of 2012, the general provisions of IPC, for example, Section 154, Section 375, Section number 376, 377 were there. But these provisions of IPC were not very much sensitive to the children. So therefore, for the protection of the children's sexual offences, a specific act, that is POCSO 2012, came in existence. Now this particular act provided the age of a child to be 18 years. Age of a child to be 18 years. And in this particular act, the age of sexual consent is also 18 years. It means that a person of 18 years only can give the consent. If a person is less than 18 years, that particular person's consent will not count. It means if a particular person is of 17 years and let's say a 17-year girl has made any sexual relation with a person, even there was the consent of this 17-year-old girl, this consent will not count. Why? Because the age of consent is 18 years minimum. So basically, if we see the provision of the POCSO Act of 2012, what's the provision? Provision says, whosoever commits a penetrative sexual assault on a child, anyone below the 18 years of age, can be imprisoned for a term which is not less than 7 years and which might also be extended to imprisonment of life. It means that if any person is carrying any sexual intercourse, any sexual relation, it will be constituted as rape if there is a penetration, otherwise sexual harassment if penetration is not there. Now, this particular thing, though, was brought with a noble intention, but a social problem has come in this particular direction. What is the social problem? Basically, guys, understand this particular thing. The Karnataka High Court has flagged this particular matter that many a number of times there are the adolescent people in the age of 16, 17 years of age. They are involving into the romantic sexual relations, and when it's found that they are involved into the romantic sexual relations, the boy particularly is charged under the violation of the POCSO Act. Now, guys, understand this particular thing. Because of that particular thing, the Karnataka High Court has flagged that we need to amend this POCSO Act. I just want to give you a case study also. Many number of times, guys, we have found this particular thing that the tribal people, in their customs, child marriages are a kind of a normal thing. Why child marriages are a normal thing? Because many a tribals, their lifespan is long, their small, their life expectancy is small, and for that particular thing, early marriages are prevalent. Even the tribals don't know that if they are getting married, so basically what is happening, the tribal people are getting married in the age of 15, 14 years, then they are having the sexual intercourse with their wife, and then when that particular wife goes for the delivery in the hospital, then the doctors report that matter to the police, and the husband is arrested that you have carried a sexual intercourse with the woman who was less than 18 years of age, and then they are jailed. Basically, they don't know that this provision is existing, so therefore they are being punished. So therefore, Karnataka High Court had said that we need to change this particular law a little bit. Karnataka High Court has asked actually the Law Commission of India that you need to rethink this particular age criteria of 18 years. We can reduce this particular age of consent to 16 years from the 18 years. Is it clear or not? So even so that is something that is being provided. Now let's understand certain facts in this particular direction. So basically, guys, it has been provided by multiple reports. For example, the National Family Health Survey has indicated this thing that a significant proportion of India's teenagers, that is the people in the age of 14, 15, 16, 17 years, they are sexually active. They are sexually active. And at the same time, it is also being provided by one of another analysis report by the Enfold Proactive Health Trust that romantic cases, fine, romantic cases where consensual sexual relations were made, these type of cases constitute around 24.3% of the total cases which are registered under the POCSO Act. So if 100 cases are being registered under the POCSO, then around 25 cases, 24.3% cases, were those cases where both girl and the boy had the consensus. That is something that is happening. Now, this particular data is from the special courts of Assam, Maharashtra and West Bengal. Now, guys, the article is talking about that basically the POCSO Act is being used by the families to safeguard their family honor. So when the family comes to know that a girl, fine, in the, basically their daughter or the girl in their family has made any sexual relation, then they charge the boy under the POCSO. Number one thing, remember that the POCSO is applicable on both the boys and girls. Even a sexual harassment of a boy has happened, and if the boy was less than 18 years of age, then the person who have done the boy's harassment will also be charged. Now understand this particular thing. Though the boy many number of times might also be less than 18 years of age, but still that boy is arrested under the provision of the juvenile in conflict with the law. And then the trial goes on. When that boy will be arrested, it will impact that adolescent's development, education, employment, self-esteem, social reputation, family life. And understand this particular thing, this is happening number one when the boy did not knew that this particular provision is existing. Boy simply had taken the consensus, didn't knew about the law, and now they are being arrested. So we have not empowered them, but they are being arrested. Second thing, there was a consensus. Is it clear or not? Now, in this particular direction, it has been provided that these defaulting boys, they are treated as children in conflict with the law, and many number of times they can even be tried as adult. Now, how this particular thing happens? Guys, understand this particular thing. Basically, you might be knowing about the Nirbhaya rape case. You might be knowing about the Nirbhaya rape case. After the Nirbhaya rape case, there was an amendment that was carried into the Juvenile Justice Act. And it was provided that if there is a rape that has happened, okay, in certain circumstances or for some heinous crimes, particularly the word heinous crime is used. So for some heinous kind of a crime, even if a boy, even if a person, sorry, even if a person is into the age of 16 to 18, that particular person can be tried as an adult. So if a 17-year-old boy has carried any sexual relation and that particular thing is constituted as rape, even he might be treated as adult and will be punished. Now, understand this particular thing, because there is a mandatory reporting of the POCSO. If a girl who is less than 18 years of age and became pregnant and came to the hospital for the abortion, then mandatorily that particular thing has to be reported to the police. And girls, because of that particular fear, because of the fear of the partner being reported to the police, they are not coming for the medical services, they are not taking the reproductive health services, and it is violating their article number 21, right to health. Moreover, many number of times they are going for the unsafe abortions with untrained practitioners. So this is bringing a very big kind of a problem. Moreover, when we see the stats with respect to the cases that have been filed under the POCSO, then guys, in this particular thing, it has been provided very clearly that if we take the data, it has been provided that according to Crime in India 2021 report, fine. Yes, according to the Crime in India 2021 report, 92 point, just a minute, 92.6% of the cases that were found under the POCSO, they are pending. They have not been disposed. Moreover, the acquittal rate is very much high under the POCSO Act. 93.8% acquittal rates are there in the romantic cases. Is it clear or not? Fine. So because of this particular thing, there is urgent need that we need to amend. Moreover, there are also the Supreme Court judgments that have been given in this particular direction. For example, we have the Vijay Lakshmi versus state of Rep. Fine. Now, the Madras High Court in this particular judgment provided this particular thing, that adolescent romance is an important developmental marker. So when they will be physically be growing, when they will be sexually be maturing, so adolescent romance is a part of that particular thing. Okay, it is a part of one's self identity, self functioning, and the capacity for intimacy. But in these particular kind of things, they are being arrested, they are being charged, they are being arrested. So we needed to amend this particular thing. Then after that, there is also the United Nations Committee on the Rights of the Child. So the United Nations Committee on the Rights of the Child very clearly has urged the states that we need to balance the protection of children from sexual exploitation, and we also need to respect their evolving autonomy. It means as the age of a child will increase, they will learn many nitty-gritties, they will learn how to make choice, how to use choice. Understand this thing. Suppose there is a 8-year-old kid, and let's say there is a 17-year-old kid, 8-year-old girl and 17-year-old girl. Yes, 8-year-old girl is more prone to sexual harassment. She doesn't have the mental capacity to make meaningful choices, but that is not the case in the matter of a 17-year-old girl. So the evolving capacity, so capacity to make choices changes with the age. It will not be same for 8-year and 17-year-old person. That is something we need to understand. So therefore, United Nations Committee on to the Rights of the Child has provided that state should avoid criminalizing the adolescent of the similar ages if they have involved into the consensual and non-exploitative sexual activity. Let's even in this particular capacity, it has been provided that there are certain changes are needed. So therefore, a way forward comes in this particular direction. Now, what is this particular way forward? Number one, it has been suggested that there is a need of comprehensive sexuality education that's needed to be given at the level of school, because the sex education is not given, and many number of times children don't even know about the POCSO laws, etc. This is something which is leading to double whammy for them. They need to be given knowledge with respect to the sexuality. They are needed to be build positive skills, attitudes. Adolescent, if they will have knowledge, they can make the meaningful choice whether to involve in a sexual intercourse or not. They can make that choice only if they have knowledge. Moreover, this knowledge will also help them in navigating their interpersonal relations, how they can reproductive health knowledge is also to be given. Now this particular knowledge is very important for keeping their health and their dignity intact. Moreover, meanwhile, though we have to give them knowledge, meanwhile also we need to focus on bringing in amendment under the POCSO Act. So it has been provided that evolving capacity of the adolescents needs to be recognized, and this age needs to be reduced from 18 to 16 only in consensual sexual intercourse cases. Not all cases, only where the girl admits or where they admit that yes, there was a consensus, so there the age can be relaxed to 16 years. This is something. Then after that, it's being provided that till the time this amendment will come, the law enforcement agencies, police, child welfare committees, juvenile justice board, they need to be very sensitive. Particularly when we talk about the juvenile justice board, they often have discretion in these particular matters. So they need to be very sensitive. Judiciary needs to be very sensitive so that the harm which is being caused, it can be minimized. So this is something which has been provided in this particular matter. Now understand this particular thing. GS paper number 1, social issues, as well as GS paper number 2, social justice. Within the social issues and social justice, we have children related issues. And there, this particular kind of matter becomes very, very important for the examination. Is it clear or not? And guys, on this particular line, the question have been asked earlier, and now also there might be a possibility that a question could be asked. Now, moving to the next article, but before that, let's take if there are certain doubts. Yes, there are misuse. Yes, yes, there are such kind of a misuses that had happened, and these are the real case matters that we have discussed here. So therefore, there is an urgent need to amend it. Now, in the next article, it's also taken from the Hindu newspaper, and the article says contextualizing Ambedkar's idea of moral democracy. Very fine written article, a very good article. This particular article, okay, so very fine article, very nicely written article, and in this particular article we are going to read about the Ambedkar, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's thoughts onto the democracy, the thoughts onto the moral democracy. Moreover, such questions have been asked in the past also. For example, a question has already been asked that what's the difference between what is the difference of thoughts between the Gandhiji and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar when the caste system is concerned. So already such questions have been asked. Now, talking about this particular article. So the name of article is contextualizing Ambedkar's idea of moral democracy. Now here Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's book, that is the Buddha and his Dhamma, has been investigated, and the key takeaways from Buddha and his Dhamma have been taken up. Now, when we do the analysis of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's book, Buddha and his Dhamma, we find this particular thing. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar has shown a very different way as how democracy gets how the democracy's genesis happen. For example, here Dr. B.R. Ambedkar provides this particular thing that democracy is a concept that affected every aspect of human life. Democracy is not just a political idea. Democracy affects your social life, your political life, your economic life, all the aspects. According to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, fine, democracy is a way of life. Democracy is a way of life. And when we read Buddha, Kabir, Mahatma Phule's philosophies, now the Buddha, Kabir, Mahatma Phule's philosophies have actually played a very important role on the evaluation of the Ambedkar's ideas. And when Ambedkar's idea of democracy is seen, there the impression from Buddha philosophy, impression of Kabir's philosophy, and impression of Mahatma Phule's philosophy can be found. Now, let's understand that how these impressions can be found. Number one, it has been provided that when we talk about the democracy, according to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, three are the most important goals or important ideals in a democracy: equality, liberty, and fraternity. According to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, he had even referred that this is the trinity of democracy. This is the trinity of democracy: equality, liberty, and fraternity. Now, apart from that, the moral lens is also needed to see democracy. According to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, we know this particular thing that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar converted to Buddhism, okay, and after Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's conversion in Buddhism, in the Buddhism, there was a new trend that got started, that is the Neo-Buddhism. Now, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, his moral principles were rooted out of the Buddhist philosophy. Though Dr. B.R. Ambedkar appreciated Buddhist philosophy, but he was also critical of the extreme individualism that Buddhist philosophy have focused upon. What is this individualism? Buddhism have given importance to individual identity, one's unique identity. When we talk about Hinduism, guys, the group identity is important, but in Buddhism, individual identity is important. Now, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's, if you see the three most important ideas of democracy, there is a fraternity. And if individualism will be more focused, fraternity will automatically be violated. According to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, he provided that we need to focus on both things, individualism as well as fraternity, for the harmonious society. Okay, individual means that every person is unique, every person has its uh, unique understandings, unique personality, but at the same time, group living, collective living, fraternity with each other is also important. Now, focus on fraternity has always been a very core feature of Hinduism, but individualism is more important feature of Buddhism. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar also gave a lot of importance to practicality. He provided this particular thing that every religion, every philosophy, every theory, every ideology needs to be tested on the basis of rationality and critical reasoning. If any subject matter can pass the test of rationality and criticality, only then it should be accepted, otherwise it should be rejected, or it should be altered or modified, that is changed. Even when the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's thoughts on religion is concerned, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar doesn't accept religion in its absolute sense. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar provides that even in the religion, if suitable changes are needed to be done to make it more to make it based on more critical and rational ideas, it should be done. Now, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar has provided this particular thing. He had seen the caste system, the Hindu social system, even he had seen the religion under the lens of morality. Now see, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar criticized the caste discrimination, criticized the caste hierarchy. Why? On the basis of the moral lens. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar provides this particular thing, that when the caste is there, certain humans are treated as inferior, certain humans are treated as superior. This is which is going against the idea of the fundamental human nature. If you remember Immanuel Kant, the German philosopher, Immanuel Kant had provided that every human is an end in themselves. Okay, so why we are treating the humans differently? So caste system, humans are treated in a hierarchy. So therefore, he had seen that it into the moral sense. Now, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar tries to construct a new social structure. He wanted to construct a new society which is based on the principle of Buddhism, where everybody is given their own importance. Fine. Now, Buddhism, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar has divided the morality in two parts. According to him, there is two types of morality. One is social morality and other is constitutional morality. Social morality and constitutional morality. First, let's discuss what is the social morality. According to him, social morality is to be built through interactions with each other, through mutual respect of each other, through mutual recognition that I am a human, other person is a human, and because we both are human, we both are equal. So through the interactions with each other, mutual respect, mutual recognition, and by equality, the social morality, societal morality will come. We need to respect each other, but according to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, that is not possible under the rigid system of caste, under the rigid system of religion. Then second type of morality as per Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is constitutional morality. In the constitutional morality, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar provided this particular thing, that in a democracy, there needs to be the negation, there needs to be the violation of hereditary rule. Understand this particular thing. Certain class are always treated historically that they are privileged, historically they have been given the power that they can rule, they are superior. Such notions are there. It should not be there. It should be broken down. It should be negated. This is the spirit of democracy, and negating such hierarchy is constitutional morality as per Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar provided that the laws, fine, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar provided that the laws that represented all the people, fine, that is the basically laws should represent all the people. Constitutional morality, that is that the constitutional spirit should be such that it respects every person's equal importance. The constitutional morality means that the people should be given the basically the people should have confidence into the state. Okay, fine, the state should have confidence into the people. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar also realized that when we talk about the caste system, caste system doesn't goes hand in hand with the moral democracy. Why it doesn't goes hand in hand with the moral democracy? Because in moral democracy, two moralities are needed to be there. There needs to be the social morality and there needs to be the constitutional morality. But till the time the caste system will be there, social morality cannot come. Why? Because mutual interaction will not be there, equality will not be there. Moreover, till the time the caste will be there, again the constitutional morality can also not come. Why? Because what are the constitutional ideals? Equality, liberty, fraternity. Okay. Then next, the Ambedkar provided this particular thing, that the caste structures create a kind of a hierarchical rule, and as a part of constitutional morality, what we need to do? We need to break this particular hierarchy, but caste will always bring the hierarchy. So therefore, caste system can never be accommodated. Caste system can never be accommodated in the moral democracy. Further, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar has given two very important ideas. He has given the idea of a particularism and second, universality. Though these ideas were earlier also there, not entirely given by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, they have been there in the past also, but Dr. B.R. Ambedkar has used these particular concepts in his explanations on moral democracy. What is particularism? Particularism means it is a theory where one group promotes its own interest without regard of the interest of the other people. Okay, for example, let's say this is one group and this is other group. We can call it as group A, we can call it as group B. Group A will promote its own interest. Okay, we'll say that our interests are more superior, our interests are more refined, and B's interests are not that much superior. So A's interest should be given more priority. That is a particularism. And then there is universalism or universality. Universality means that certain ideas are applicable in all such situations, in all circumstances, at all places, certain ideas will be applicable. Now, when B.R. Ambedkar investigates the nature of Indian society, yes, when Dr. B.R. Ambedkar investigates the nature of Indian society, he says this particular thing, that he explains that caste system is a negative particularistic value in the Hindu religion. Let's understand that what it is. He says that the upper caste according to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, universalize the negative particularity. What it means? It means that according to them, they promote their own interest, particularity, and they say that their interest should be supreme in all the situations. Okay, they universalize the negative particularity. They are more important, and they are more important in every sphere. They are more important in every sphere. In education, they are more important. In ritualism, they are more important. In social hierarchy, they are more important. Fine. So I hope that you've understood this particular thing. Secondly, what they do, they particularize the negative universal morality. They particularize the negative universal morality. Now, when we talk about morality, morality means what is just, what is right, what is just, what is right. So understanding right and wrong, just and unjust, correct and incorrect is to understand the morality. Now they actually, what they do, they particularize the negative universal morality. They provide this particular thing, that the caste system is justified, certain groups are superior, certain groups are more privileged. That is right, that is correct, that is not wrong, that is the part of the moral order. They justify that particular thing. So two things they do. Number one, what they do, they provide that they are dominant, and secondly, they say that we are dominant and that is moral, that is ethical, that is correct. They will justify it from religion. All such kind of a thing will happen. Now, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar provides that from the Buddhism, we can learn certain democratic values. For example, he says that when we see the Buddhist Sangh, in Buddhist Sangh, debates, discussion, dissents, they are encouraged. And this is even the spirit of democracy. Even in the democracies, such kind of a things need to happen. Moreover, in Buddhism, we also find the evidence of voting. So basically, voting is called as, okay, Salpatrak Grahaks. Okay, Salpatrak Grahaks. Now, what is Salpatrak Grahak? Through Salpatrak Grahak, which are actually a kind of a voting, the Sangh lay down the moral grounds, the principle of social freedom. Okay, all the decisions are taken by this particular kind of a voting pattern. So this is something which can be learned from Buddhism. Then next, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar provides this particular thing, that root of democracy lies within the realm of religion, and this is very interesting. He says that the roots of democracies lies within the realm of religion. okay, without which associated living is not possible. Now let's understand this particular idea. He provides this particular thing that rather than removing completely the respect of religion, completely removing the religion, we need to construct a type of a democracy in which the democratic aspects of religion is also taken. If you go to the previous slide and if you see in the Buddhist sanghs, debates, discussions and dissents are given more importance. Okay, Salpatra Grahak, voting is given very important. So within the religion, the democratic aspects are there. Those aspects from the religion are needed to be harvested and they are needed to be made as a part of a democracy. So we need a new version of democracy where democratic aspects of the religion should be incorporated. See, ritualism, superstitions, if they are there in some of the religion, they should not be the part, but the democratic aspect should be incorporated. After that, Buddhism also provides this particular thing that there is a difference between the principles and the rules. There is a difference between the principles and the rules. Now, religion must be restricted to certain principles. Okay, when we talk about the principles, certain principles, for example, non-violence is a principle. Non-accumulation of lot of material entities is a principle. So religion can provide certain principles on which the democracy be based, but out of religion we cannot take direct rules. Now when we talk about the rules simply means the habitual way of doing certain things. Is it clear or not? So basically when we talk about, guys, the laws by which the democracy is actually governed, when we talk about the rules by which actually the democracy is governed, okay, so these particular things should not be derived out of religion. Religion should only be restricted to certain principles, okay, and rules are something which should actually be focusing on more operationality of democracy, and that should be taken up through rationality, logicality. Legislature should be there and it should do that thing. In the book Buddha and his Dhamma, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar provides that how the concepts of Dhamma, Buddhist Dhamma, it includes pragya or thinking or understanding, rationality, fine, sil or good action, karuna, that is the kindness is there. So therefore, all these particular kind of things emerge as a morally transformative concept. Okay, and such morally transformative concepts of thinking, pragya, karuna, okay, good action, they should be incorporated in democracy, in the democratic actions. According to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the integration of such rules, okay, such rules that we have discussed, these particular kind of rules will help in transformation of the traditional approach to democracy, and a better type of democracy, better version of democracy can be created. Is it clear or not? Dr. B.R. Ambedkar very clearly provides this particular thing that in democracy everybody is equal, justice is all important. So therefore caste division, okay, hierarchical division, they are not desirable because they will always be hindering the social interaction. Okay, they will universalize the negative particularistic value. So therefore, according to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, he wanted to construct a morally rational system of democracy, which have certain figments from religion, which have rationality, which have dignity of every person, which have a respect of every person integrated in it. Okay, so that is all, guys, about this particular article. Now moving to the next article. Okay, now understand this particular thing, guys, that this particular article is little bit deep and lot more philosophical, So the ideas that have been given, they are very, very important for the ethics and the essays which have certain philosophical flair. Okay, now the third article. Now this article we have taken from the Indian Express newspaper, and the article talks about the trends in organ donation. Now this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 4 as well as GS paper number 1 and 2. Okay. Now when we talk about organ donation, guys, understand this particular thing. Organ donation happens to be a noble cause. It happens to be a noble cause. Is it clear or not? Now, first of all, recently, why the organ donation has come into the news? Because recently the government has presented the data in the parliament, and according to the latest data given by the government in parliament, it provides this particular thing that there was a fall in the organ donations that happened during the first year of the COVID-19 pandemic, but now organ donation has bounced back in 2021. Now, we are going to see the organ donation, but before that, understand two things. There are two concepts. One is the deceased donation, and the other are the living donations, donations from living person or the living donation. Diseased donation, it means suppose a person has died, suppose a person is brain dead. Okay, a person is brain dead. So after the death of that particular person's organs can be harvested. Either the person had made a living will when he was alive or she was alive, or the family can also decide that the organs of this particular persons are to be donated. So deceased donations are when a person dies. Then there are the donations from living person. Now many number of times, guys, we find this particular thing that suppose there is a kidney failure of one of a family member that has happened, then the other family member can volunteer and can provide that, okay, I may give my kidney. Is it clear or not? So living members, they donate their organ to other living member, and these kind of donation largely happens into the close friends and family circles. So what is the trend of the organ donation in India? As per the government data, it provides that in 2021, these many organ donations have been done. Okay, so basically these are the deceased donation and these are the living organ donation, and we actually found that the majority of donations that are happening in India, they are the living donation or donations from the living person. And in fact, deceased donation in 2021, they were just around 14.07%. So majority of donations, is it clear or not? So we can say that around 86% of donations that are happening, they are the living donations. Now these are the states, here we can see where the most diseased organ donations have been done. So in Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, these are the states. Then states with the most living organ donations. You don't need to go too much in detail and remember all these facts and data. Particularly if you are from a one particular state, you can remember the ranking of your state, particularly for the PSC examination. Now, basically, according to the data, these many organs have been harvested in 2021. Actually, number is not important. Okay, don't go and by heart this number, but I am just giving you to have a perspective. So these many organs have been harvested, and out of that only 14% were from the deceased donors. Is it clear or not? Moreover, we find this particular thing that there is a geographical skewedness also into the diseased donation. When the disease donations happen, the top 5 states for the disease donations are Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Gujarat and Karnataka. Okay. 85% of the disease donations that have happened, they have happened out of these 5 states. Is it clear or not? Now, I told you this particular thing also, that the organs such as the kidney and liver have been donated by the family members. So that is something happening. Now, first of all, first question comes that why in these 5 states there are more donations that are happening. One important reason is the geographical skewedness, because of the harvesting centers are actually concentrated in these particular states. So this is one reason. Second thing is, guys, that is happening is that, see, when we talk about the transplants that are happening, India carries the third highest number of transplants in the world. We are doing third highest number of transplants in the world. But still, seeing the population of India, India is going to be the most populous country by next year. So in terms of numbers, they are still very much less. So around 1.5 to 2 lakh, sorry, this is some other data. So the the transplants are happening, but still they are less. We have some data, for example, 1.5 to 2 lakh people, they need a kidney transplant every year. But out of this 1.5 lakh, 8,000 people are actually getting a kidney. 80,000 people require a liver transplant, but out of 80,000, only 1,800 are getting a liver. Okay. So point is that large number of people who need the organs, they are not getting them. They are not getting them. First of all, over the years, we have found this particular thing, that the demand for the organ donation has increased, organ transplant, organ donation has increased. Why? Because of the prevalence of the lifestyle disease. Because of this lifestyle disease, people are becoming more prone to heart failures, fine lung, kidney disease are happening. Okay, so because of that particular thing, high demand is there. Now understand this particular thing, that the diseased donations are very important. Why? Because certain organs such as the lungs and the heart can only be retrieved if a person has died. From a deceased person only these particular organs can be retrieved. Is it clear or not? And if the diseased donations are not increasing, a precious resource, an organ, is getting wasted. Fine, these organs could have saved the lives, but they are getting wasted because the diseased donations are very much less. You can see just 14% of the total donation are the diseased donations. Okay. Now, in this particular direction, guys, it's being provided that around 1.5 lakh people die every year in the road accidents. And the people who are dying, many of them can donate the organs, but the organ donations are not being carried by their family members, or the people, they have also not given the consent for the organ donation when they'll die. It has been provided that the donations are possible after the heart stops working. But in India, most of the organ donations that are done, they are from the brain dead people, Now, when we talk about the organ donation rate in India, it's around 0.52 per 1 million person. So, per 1 million people, 0.52 organ donations are happening. Now, the highest organ donation that's there, it's in the Spain. Okay, so Spain has the highest organ donation, and there is around 49.6 per million population organ donation that is happening. So, just compare India 0.52 per million and here 49.6 per million. Now, here I am going to explain you a very, very beautiful concept. Okay, even guys, when we talk about the Germany, okay, when we talk about you take example of Belgium and Germany also. Belgium, very high organ donation rate. Germany, organ donation rate of just 10 to 12%. Spain, very high organ donation rate. Other European countries, low organ donation rate. So basically, Spain has the opt-out system, because of which the organ donations are very much high. See, education, knowledge, empowerment is not only the factor, opt-out system. To explain this particular opt-out system, guys, actually, I am going to take the reference of one particular book by the name of Nudge. Okay. Now, what is this particular book Nudge's idea? By the way, this particular book Nudge has been written by the Richard Thaler and Sunstein. Thaler has been the Nobel Prize winner. So, there is one idea. Let's understand this particular idea. Okay. So, guys, idea goes something like this, that the humans, they have the status quo bias. The humans have the status quo bias. Now, let's understand that what is the status quo bias. It means that the people don't want to change their default position. Is it clear? Whatever situation you are, you don't want to change that. Fine. Many of you are using the mobile phones, but you are still using that same wallpaper in your mobile phone that came when you bought the mobile phone. You are using the default settings that came with your mobile phone. You have not changed that. Okay, so we have the status quo bias, the situation in which we are. We want to stay in that thing. Fine. The book Nudge explains this particular thing. Now, what happens in the Spain? In the Spain, there is an opt-out system. It means, let's say that a person has been born, then a particular person has given the presumed consent. There is a concept of presumed consent. Presumed consent means that automatically the person has given the consent that when I will die, you can harvest my organ. But if the person the person can retract from the system, but then the person has to go to the municipal office, had to sign a declaration, and in that declaration the person has to say that, okay, I don't want to donate my organ. But many people will not do that. Why the people will not do that? Because of the status quo bias. Are you getting it or not? So what is happening? We let it go. Because of that particular thing, there are high number of people who are donating the organ. Apart from the opt-out system, there is one more system that's there. That is the opt-in system. Opt-in system. What is opt-in system? Opt-in system means that if you want to donate organ, by default your organs are not donated. If you want to donate, you want to go a hospital or you want to go to a facility, there you need to sign a form, and after that your organs will be donated. People are lazy. People don't want to go that. Why? Status quo bias again. What is the default status quo? Organs are not donated. People will never do that particular thing. Now, the Spain has harvested the status quo bias and they have brought the opt-in system. Even the Belgium, has the opt-in system. And because of this presumed consent, many people are actually ending up in donating the organs. It is a very good and a very smart intervention. It should be done even in India. Is it clear? Now, basically, guys, when we talk about in India, there is a there is a process where you have to deliberately give the consent. Now, how can diseased donations be increased? So number one, we found this particular thing that not just the law, it has led to the Spain to achieving the highest number of diseased donation, but at the same time there are also the medically qualified transplant coordinators that are available at the hospital, which will tell the people that okay, you can donate the organs. They will tell the people the benefits of the organ donation. Now many number of times in the hospitals, do you find that there are the transplant coordinators who are giving such no, advice? No. Okay, that is not happening. We find this particular thing that in certain large hospitals who are actually capable for harvesting of the organs, they only have these transplant coordinators. Other hospitals don't have, so people don't even come to know. After that particular thing, guys, it has been provided that harvesting organs from the people who had suffered cardiac death instead of brain death can be important and can increase the number. Right now, I told you that in India, deceased organs are being harvested when a person is brain dead. Is it clear or not? But it is being so, it can know when a person has faced the heart failure, then also we should retrieve the organ. But there is one practical problem in this particular direction. What happens when a person has suffered the cardiac death? In that particular case, the blood circulation will stop, and when the blood circulation will stop, the oxygen supply to the organs will stop, and when oxygen supply to the organs is stopped, the organs will die and the organs will not be suitable for transplant. When we talk about, guys, India, suppose in India a person has suffered the cardiac death, and by the time all the family members will be coming from the different parts of the country, and when everybody will come, till then the organ will not be will not be in a condition that it could be transplanted. So it is too much late often. Then next thing that is there, that we need to aware the people. It is being said that people in India are generally altruistic. What is altruism? Altruism when you will put yourself in pain, you will put yourself in discomfort, but want to help other. That is altruism. So people in India are generally altruistic, but they don't have awareness about the organ transplant. Okay, they don't know how to register as organ donor. So by increased awareness, that particular thing can be done. Moreover, one more issue is also being highlighted. Understand this particular thing. See, one very big problem is there in India. See, why people don't pay taxes? It's not the case that people don't pay taxes because they don't want to. People don't pay taxes because they don't trust that the money that they will be paying as per the taxes, that will go for the right cause. Still, that is the case in even into the organ donations. People many number of times are not able to see that how their organ donations are actually bringing the change in the lives. So we need to make sure this particular thing, that the result of the organ donation needs to be publicized, needs to be highlighted, so people trust this entire process. After that, we also need to have good transportation network. Now, basically, the point where the organ is harvested and the point where the organ is needed, they might be separated with hundreds of kilometers and all such kind of a thing. For example, the organ is harvested in Chennai. The organ is harvested in Chennai, and the organ is, let's say, needed in the Delhi. Now this particular organ's shelf life will be very much less. So to transport that, we need the seamless transportation network. In this particular direction, the government is working to improve the coordination through the road, railway, aviation ministries, and the green corridors for the faster transportation of organs are being developed, though at certain times they have successfully worked, but we still need to enhance it more. After that, guys, it is also being provided that right now the mechanism is that the availability of organ is to be reported by the hospital to the state organ and tissue transplant organization. It will match it with the recipient. For example, there is a heart. Now they will match that, okay, this heart is needed with whom. If locally match isn't found, it will refer to the regional organ and tissue transplant organization. This is something as how this entire process will be going on. Okay, this is all, guys, about this particular entire article, and this article is a very good article with respect to the ethics GS paper number 4, and in general also as a good gesture, good deed, the organ donation needs to be carried and it should be increased. Okay, before moving on, let's take the doubts if they are there. Practical ethics principles should be followed in democracy instead of theological ethical principle. Is Dr. Ambedkar trying to say? See, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, number one, never provided this thing that the theocratic principle should be followed, and some people say that even Dr. B.R. Ambedkar never provided that religion should have any role. But according to the article that we have read, religion can have a role, but only the role where the religion is giving the principles which are based onto the social morality. Okay. Sir, we can conclude it by quotation. Democracy is never a thing done. Democracy is always that nation must be doing. Yes, very good, Priyanka. Yes, you can do that. Sir, one doubt that should PIB read on daily basis? Guys, understand this thing that what PIB is. PIB or Press Information Bureau, it is a platform where government ministries are giving their news and then that news will be published into the newspaper. So if there is something important in PIB, it will come into the newspaper. So no need to worry on that. Okay. Sir, please take a class on elaborate discussion of UPSC syllabus. Okay, I'll try to do that. Eye lenses are also retrieved from deceased person. Yes, many organs can be retrieved. Okay, fine. Same problem is seen in blood donation. Yes, correct, correct, Priyanka. Okay, fine. Moving on. So the next article, boosting trade, the key to stronger India-US ties, Hindustan Times. Now this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, international relation. GS paper number 2, international relation, and within the international relation, Indo-US relations. Indo-US relations, this article will be taken up. Now, let's start. So basically guys, what has happened recently, United States Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen had provided this particular thing that India-US ties needed to be strengthened, needed to be deepened up. And also she has referred to the friend shoring. Now, what is this friend shoring? Let's understand this particular word, friend shoring. Friend shoring means, suppose there is a country A and then there is a country B and then there is one more country, that is country C. Now, this country C is one where a country is very much dependent. Let's take the practical example. Suppose there is a USA and then there is a China. Today, critical supplies of the USA, today the critical supplies of USA are coming from China. Okay, semiconductors are coming from China, rare earth metals are coming from the China, then the active pharmaceutical ingredients and many other components are coming from China. But there is the ideological clash, ideological difference between USA and China. Tomorrow what can happen if this clash will increase a lot? China can stop the critical supply to the USA and then the USA will become vulnerable. So therefore what will happen, USA will search that particular country where the ideologies are matching, where disputes are not, so that from that particular country they can retrieve their supplies. So friend shoring is to identify those countries which are your friend. It is also called as ally shoring. It is also called as ally shoring. So finding the countries which are your friends and the countries which share the same values as you are having. Fine. And the countries where the political chaos is not there, where social chaos is not there. So identify such countries and divert your supply chains to such countries. So today USA is exploring with the India friend shoring. They are identifying that how the critical supplies can be shifted from China to the India. Fine. She also provided this particular thing that India and USA being the largest democracy, okay, they can identify certain core themes on which the cooperation can be done. And she had identified the climate, digital trade and development as a core area of the cooperation. Fine. Now, the article is talking about this particular thing that, see, over the years, though on the face we find through the quadrilateral security dialogue, Indo-Pacific economic framework and many other initiatives that relation between India and USA is improving, but no, at the same time there are many irritants also between the India-USA relation that has been there. So India-US trade relations have been strained for a quite a long time. On military and security cooperation, relations are improving, but on trade aspect, relations have become not very much good. Why? For example, US is frustrated by India's protectionist trade policies. India's protectionist trade policy. India is not opening up as what the USA expects. Moreover, USA finds India as insufficiently accommodating its developing country status. Now guys, understand this particular thing. Whenever India needs the benefits on economic terms, the USA says that India put forward, okay, basically, just a minute, yes, yeah, USA says that India is using the developing country status, but India says that no, we are not using. We are developing nation and therefore we need certain supports which should be given to the developing status. So India, fine, India perceives that USA is not accommodating the developing country status, and USA thinks that India is overusing this developing country status. Then we find this particular thing that there are the patent issues also, intellectual property right issues also. Because of that particular thing, there have been the disputes between India and USA into the past. Now, it's being provided that the trade relations are needed to be improved. And for improving the trade relation between India and USA, there is US-India Trade Policy Forum. US-India Trade Policy Forum. Now, this US-India Trade Policy Forum was a platform to solve the trade related issues. Now, this particular forum stayed dormant for 4 years. It got relaunched in 2021, and after that again it has been postponed. So this US-India Trade Policy Forum needs to be revived again, and it needs to be used as an active platform to discuss the discuss the trade and all such kind of things. Now, when we talk about the bilateral trade between two countries, India and US, it has reached to around 157 billion in two-way goods and service trade. So, goods and services traveling from India to US and from US to India, it is $157 billion. But, and at the same time, US is now the top destination for India's merchandise exports. But at the same time, when we talk about the US-India trade, the trade from the side of US to India, fine, it is only about 2% of the US's total merchandise trade. So out of the total merchandise trade of USA, only 2% is coming in India. USA is irritated with this particular thing. USA says that there are a lot of regulatory barrier, lot of restriction even on capital, restrictions on foreign direct investment is there. Okay, India doesn't respect the intellectual property right. For example, in many of the medicines, it has happened earlier that compulsory licensing was given by India. Okay, India's data localization norms are very much stringent according to the USA. So this is something that has happened. Now it has been provided that the both of the sides had tried to improve the agricultural market access through TPF. Okay, now the TPF that we have discussed here, they are not discussing the entire arena of trade, but goods by goods they are going. Okay, so they have tried to focus on agricultural market access, but it is being provided that product by product approach will provide the limited economic benefits. This particular process will be by this particular way, it will take a lot of time to cover the entire gamut of economic relations of India and US. Moving on, next thing that is being provided is that, see, India is a critical link in the global supply chains. Okay, when we talk about the global and critical supply chains, pharmaceutical, India is the largest generic drug manufacturer of the world, and India is even called as the pharmacy of the world. Now, India is critical supply chain in the pharmaceuticals, but at the same time, significant obstacles have been faced by the India throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, India has agreed this particular thing that regulatory trade barriers between the India and USA will be reduced, and in the same way, USA has agreed that FDA inspections, okay, FDA inspections, FDA clearances, okay, which is needed for the drugs, it will be expedited. US will clear that particular thing fast. Okay, so India is making drugs, and the regulatory approval is being given by the bodies such as FDA. So here USA will help if India will reduce the trade barriers. So this win-win situation, win-win advantage can be taken up. The next thing that we are talking about is that, guys, both the trading partners can actually strengthen their supply chains and can discuss the common standards with respect to the manufacturing, with respect to the investment that has to be followed throughout the Indo-Pacific Economic Forum. So Indo-Pacific Economic Forum, it is again an economic initiative where India and 13 other countries are participating, including the USA. So here the common standards of investment, common standards of manufacturing, etc. can be negotiated by both of the countries. Next is that right now digital economy, digital trade sector is also emerging. We find this particular thing. Today, the digital trade contributes $35 billion to the Indian economy, and this is the data from 2019. Right now, under the World Trade Organization, the negotiations onto the digital trade are happening. USA right now should encourage the India to join these talks onto the digital trade that is happening. Why? Because India has one of the most basically when we talk about that, India has the young demography, talented demography, and this talented demography can play a very important role into the technology sector. Is it clear or not? And the India's technology sector can also support the USA's technology sector. So if India will stay outside this particular discussion, India will miss an opportunity to shape the rules of the digital trade, which will impact India a lot in the future. So India should not stay out, India should participate, and USA can help India in the participation of such kind of a thing. The next thing that's coming in this particular direction is that, guys, basically USA should also consider India's India continuation of the GSP program. Now, what is this GSP? GSP stands for Generalized System of Preferences. Under the Generalized System of Preferences, duty-free access to thousands of the goods coming from developing country were provided. So many of the goods from the India, particularly the iron, particularly the steel and many such kind of things from India, when they were going to the USA, there will be no duty be imposed. That was the GSP program. Now, what happened? Donald Trump in 2019 withdrew the GSP preference that was given to India, and then in 2020 this entire program got collapsed. Now it's being provided that the Joe Biden administration should urge the Congress to renew the GSP program, and again the duty-free access that was given to the Indian products, that should be started. And at the same time, it is also being provided that India should also consider the significant percentage of US goods that are coming, they should be given the duty-free market access. So through the economic relations, through the trade relations, all the relations on other aspects between the India and USA can also be expanded. Is it clear or not? So this is, guys, the crux of this entire article. So these are, guys, all the 4 articles that we have discussed, and with this we come to an end to the today's editorial analysis discussion. Okay, guys, so that is all. And before going, let's take if there are certain doubts. Okay, guys, if you have any doubt, you may ask your doubts. Okay, so the last doubt was of Shubdeep. Okay, any other doubt if there, you may ask. Okay, so guys, that is all for today. So that is all. If you have liked, please do hit the like button, and please do leave your comments as well. Now we'll be meeting tomorrow at the same time. Till then, please take care of yourselves.